Hey, we're going to get rolling here today, and it's all about weather. So, the first thing we're going to bring up in front of you is a drought map. And what we just had circled then is really the Midwest and the plain states where the majority of the corn and beans are raised. And by looking at this, you can just see that, hey, we do have some dry weather issues really starting to take shape here, through much of the corn belt. So, what do we think on total production? How can things change? This is just one quick look at this thing. Our bias is there's 50% of the corn soybean production at risk right now of being below trend. You can argue it's a little bit more than that, less than that, however you want to. This is a number we're just comfortable with. Well, if that half of the crop has a 10% yield loss, that would project a national average yield to be down around 5% versus the current trend. So, what does that give us on the corn side of it? Right now, the USDA is currently at 181 and a half on their yield. If we drop this yield just 5% below that May forecast, that brings that yield down to 181 and a half. It goes from 181 and a half down to 172 and a half. Last year's yield was 173.3. You can see then just this minor reduction in yield in here brings our total yield down similar to last year. And when you look at loss of production from the May supply demand report moving forward, that drops total production around 765 million bushels. As we switch over to soybeans, the USDA currently has a 52 bushel yield in place. If it ends up being 5% below that May estimate, that's a 49.4 bushel yield, which is similar to the 49.5 we had a year ago. These are just some minor adjustments, but you look at soybeans, this is a loss of production of 225 million bushels. When the carryout's only 335, that is significant. Again, we're just trying to take a step back, looking how this weather can change upcoming supply demand reports. As we want to finish up in here today, it's all about weather, and we're going to be volatile. Keep in mind with regards to weather, the GFS tends to be a little bit wetter. That's why we see these pullbacks at mid-session. The EU tends to be a little bit drier. We have a USDA report out on Friday. We doubt if we see a yield adjustment, but if one does occur, we just think a lower yield is much more likely to happen than a higher production estimate given the current weather. End users, producers, you've got to look at managing risk in here. It's going to be extremely volatile. Building off of last week's webinar, we talked about if we rally in the market, we think it needs to occur over the next 4 to 6 weeks. If we break, it's probably mid-July and forward as we get through the key pollination and look forward to bean setting pods. Any questions with these markets or concerns, feel free to drop us an email. We look forward to bringing you these webinars along with our daily commentary. Have a great day.